Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied.
This place does look pretty heavily guarded. Guess that proves that Nervalet's files are really secure.
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you might be related to.
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. Paimon can tell.
If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy, so please leave if you don't have a reason to be here.
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few—
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You...
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business. You can trust us.
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is...
Thanks so much.
Please come in.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur
It's all right. Please let me know how I may.
So you're not mad at us?
We're looking for a man called Vache. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him...
Ah, I see. In
Who knew that Nervalet would be so easy to talk to?
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vache has been... There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right, then.
Ahem. Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man.
And what are you trying to say? Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you as a last resort. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing. If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you call a stop to the duel? Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die, despised and hated by all? Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiniest effort could have changed everything. There are still so many things I never got to tell him. So many. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will show you the true meaning of regret.
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart and never say a word to anyone. It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well the apathy of the Chief Justice. My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's raining.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active trials today.
Now that I think of it, On the day my father was convicted of murder, it was also raining.
What is it? Did you think of something?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value. Oh? Wait.
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water and then got washed away with the rain? Yeah, and if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if...
I really think I found a true genius for a... All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom of my father's case for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time!
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later? Great. Let's go then.
Why would a ship be anchored at a place like this?
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, it's actually Spina di Rosula's headquarters. My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally had in common. A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a glorious past. Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sea. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself, she's been convinced.
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began after... Melus, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important part. You said before that you still had some business at the court.
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me... You still remember, right, Melus? On that night...
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Miss...
Could you tell us a bit more about what...
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain... At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your...
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial...
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus, and if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to...
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath. But no matter how... Not only that, Boss became determined to find the master.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret. The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his... That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun.
Huh? How did that happen? Aren't they on the same side?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, but, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third... You're right. We still don't know what happened.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful. I think this third person is probably the key to... On that note, however, even though our opponent is insidious, and even though Spina di Rosula has lost most of its former glory, there is no need to follow your father's...
If that's indeed what he wished for, was I not the closest person to him? What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect... And Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death? And I've never accepted that. Ever. I want to find out the real answer for...
Avia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears...
So you do know something else, Melus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances case. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, Demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had no more than 5 years left to live. And the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side, and even told some members of Spina di Rosula about the... But as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victims.
Right, so nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick to me.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful was...
So he chose to die in silence.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, Demoiselle. What Boss wanted... If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me, I'm sure he'd be extremely proud.
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me straight? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, but thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where Synth is produced. Essentially, it's the enemy's headquarters. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics. But if you want to use it against the enemy...
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. But a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war. The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine authorities?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thorough...
That's true. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to...
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Malus.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss and Demoiselle's will. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability...
Thank you for all of that, Malus.
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, if the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must... After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, the first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, there's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. The boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around with a lot...
So, they're like a sister organization of...
Yes, you can say that. It's a bit difficult to imagine.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities.
I see. These are all to think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is extremely cautious.
Of course. And thank you, Malus.
You're too And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. If it might help, you could also pay them.
Oh, thank you so much, Mo.
A new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to uncover the truth.